Part 18. After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 171. Chu Qing Huang ignored him and walked towards the palace gate. Most of the nobles in the palace pay attention to pomp and circumstance, riding on the chariot and cheering in front of and behind. Chu Qing Huang has never liked this. After entering the palace, he always walks. If he has something to do, he will walk faster. If he has nothing to do, he will occasionally follow Fukang. Talk while walking. As for traveling outside the palace, she either rides a horse or takes a carriage. As a martial arts practitioner, she rides a horse more often, but today she came by carriage. After entering the carriage and sitting down in the carriage, Chu Qing Huang said calmly, "You can guess first, I will consider whether to reward you." Since the master knows the secret, he must not let the secret be buried in the dust. Fukang knelt down, raised his hand to move over Chu Qing Huang's leg, closed his eyes and pressed his ankle lightly. The Queen Mother loves the third prince. If she will send a secret letter to the third prince to inform him in detail, and he will definitely believe it. Chu Qing Huang raised her lips. "Fukang, you are indeed smart." Before Fukang could speak, Chu Qing Huang said again, "I said you were a rotten wood before. It seems that I have wronged you." "It's not unfair," Fukang said in a low voice. "My subordinates are not as smart and wise as my master, and they are far behind in chess skills. If my master is a white crane in the sky, my subordinates are just a speck of dust on the ground." Chu Qing Huang raised his eyebrows. "When did you learn to flatter?" "No." Fukang pursed his lips. "This subordinate is telling the truth." Chu Qing Huang was non-committal. "You are right. There is no need to use a ready-made knife. I was just thinking about what excuse to use to get rid of the Feng family and the third prince." Ling and Cheng handed over the knife. If you don't accept it, all the hard work he put in before his death will be in vain." Fukang said sincerely, "My master is wise and mighty." Chu Qing Huang raised her eyes and looked at him with a calm expression. "What reward do you want?" Fukang was silent for a moment, then slowly shook his head. "I haven't decided yet." "You haven't thought about it yet?" Chu Qing Huang raised his eyebrows lightly. "You can think about it carefully when you go home tonight, and you won't wait after the time limit." Fukang pursed his lips. "Yes." The carriage arrived at the eldest princess's residence. Before getting off the carriage, Fukang said, "Master said that he wanted to visit the fifth prince's injury." "There is no need to visit any more." Chu Qing Huang's voice became softer. 50 sticks won't kill him, but it will be enough to make him lie on the bed for a while. After the injury is healed, whether he will live or die depends on him and concubine Duan. Today I went in and out of the palace twice, searched the Ling family, and got the answers to what I wanted to know. I could finally have a good rest. It was already evening when we returned to the mansion, and time passed very quickly after a long day. Your Highness must be tired. Your servant will order the kitchen to prepare dinner. Your Highness will sit down and rest for a while. Jinlan presented a cup of freshly brewed tea. Do you need to inform the young masters in the backyard now? Chu Qing Huang said calmly, "Don't be in a hurry." "Yes." Jinlan retreated. "There is no one here." Chu Qing Huang said calmly, "You have been busy with me all day, so sit down and have a cup of tea." "My subordinates dare not." Chu Qing Huang looked up at him casually, with calm eyes and no emotional fluctuations. Fukang stood for a moment with his head lowered, and said respectfully, "Thank you, master." Then he sat down obediently. Chu Qing Huang narrowed his eyes. Fukang took the pot and poured a cup of tea by himself. During this period, he secretly glanced at Chu Qing Huang from the corner of his eye and said hesitantly, "Master. Master, do you want to be the emperor?" Chu Qing Huang raised his eyes, and a flash of interest flashed in his eyes. "Why do you think so suddenly?" "This is what my subordinates guessed." Fukang lowered his head. After the demise of the imperial concubine and concubine Duan, there will still be only the queen and her son left in the court, but the master has no reason to remove the obstacles for the queen and her son. In addition to the queen and her son, isn't there another Chu Tianling? Chu Qinghuang said, he is the son of the former queen. He is more legitimate than Chu Tianqiu's title of legitimate son, and he has the advantage of being the eldest son. This was the legitimate eldest son of the royal family. According to the rules of the past dynasties, Chu Tianling was the most legitimate candidate for the crown prince, whether he was the legitimate son or the eldest son. The emperor probably won't let the eldest prince ascend the throne. Why? The eldest prince is alone and weak, and will easily be constrained by courtiers after he ascends the throne. Fukang said, the emperor has faced the situation of being constrained by courtiers before, so he does not want the next emperor to be in the same situation. Therefore, the eldest prince is basically not under consideration, unless he has the ability to defy the heavens and can secretly plan and control most of the forces in the court without anyone knowing, so that all civil and military officials in the court will willingly support him. But it's difficult. It is almost impossible for a weak prince to quietly increase his power without telling the eyes of the queen mother, empress, noble concubine, and concubine Duan, as well as the princes and major aristocratic families. Your analysis is right. Chu Qinghuang seemed to find it interesting, and raised the corners of her lips slightly, so it is really difficult to be a wise emperor. When you seize the throne, you hope that the bigger the power that supports you, the better. After you ascend the throne, but he is worried that the power of his subordinates is too great to control, especially the power of relatives with nepotism through in-laws. They have soared to the sky and become famous by virtue of their merits, and they are most likely to lose themselves. Therefore, smart people often say that glory and wealth will always coexist with risks. One step forward is a person of great dignity, but one step back will lead to an abyss. If you fall down accidentally, your body will be wiped out. Fukang said, the queen has been sitting on the mountain watching the tiger fight for so long, the master has no reason to fight for her. What if I really want to be the emperor myself? Fukang stood up and knelt, his voice firm and loyal, I swear to be loyal to you until death, and will help you to take the throne at all costs. You don't have to pay any price, Chu Qinghuang said calmly, just take charge of the dark chamber for me. Yes. Chu Qinghuang raised his hand to signal him to stand up, and said, I do have this idea, and I am working towards this goal. Fukang stood up, master will definitely achieve his wish. Chu Qinghuang raised his eyebrows, of course I can achieve my wish, you don't need to be so serious. Fukang pursed his lips. After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 172. Chu Qinghuang didn't know what suddenly occurred to her, and said calmly, if one day, I suddenly return to my previous nature, tyrannical, bloodthirsty and cold, and will whip you at every turn, Fukang, will you still be loyal to me? Fukang's face changed slightly, and the hands hanging by his sides clenched tightly. Master won't. His voice was hard, no. Can't do anything. Fukang's expression was blank, like a hasty little beast. Chu Qinghuang's heart twisted slightly, and she couldn't bear it, so she said, if you really encounter this situation in the future and I return to my previous temperament, Fukang, I order you to take action against me, even if you kill me. Palace. My subordinates don't know how to do it. Fukang knelt down, my master doesn't know how to do it either. Chu Qinghuang was silent for a moment, her eyes falling on his frightened face. Everything is possible, I am just telling you the worst outcome. The corners of Fukang's lips turned pale. The duty of the shadow guard is to be loyal to the master and die for the master. He only obeys the master's orders and cannot resist at all. I understand these rules very well. Chu Qinghuang reached out and rubbed his head, but you think about it for yourself, is the master you want to be loyal to before or the master you are now? Fukang was silent for a long time. In the past, my subordinates only called her princess, and never called her master. In fact, he knew that the two were different. Others may just find her change strange, but as a personal bodyguard, Fu Kang feels it most clearly. The master who woke up that day was a completely different person, not the same one before. Although he couldn't explain it, he knew it was different. Chu Qinghuang's eyebrows moved slightly. It turned out that he had known about it for a long time. Really sharp. But that's fine, I won't be unconditionally loyal. Chu Qinghuang said in a calm tone, although this possibility is very small at present, if I really return to my previous violent temperament, remember to protect yourself and don't have to obey her in everything, even if you really kill her by mistake. She and no one will blame you. Fu Kang shook his head, I can't. Can't kill, after killing, the master will be completely gone. Chu Qinghuang said calmly, Fu Kang. Exist. Since you haven't decided what reward you want, I'll tell you a secret. Chu Qinghuang's eyes fell on his face, and her usually cold voice seemed to have some kind of bewitching meaning at this time. I don't want to hear it. Secret. Fu Kang's heart palpitated. Master's secret? It's getting late. Chu Qinghuang turned to look out the window. The five of them are coming over to have dinner together. I will tell you a secret when you go to bed at night. Take it as your reward. Fu Kang lowered his head, yes. As soon as he finished speaking, there was a sudden argument outside, and a shadowy boy flew over like lightning. Your Highness, it's not good. It's not good. Fu Kang frowned, his expression instantly indifferent. Chu Qinghuang raised his hand and rubbed his eyebrows. What song did Hong Yu sing? The young man in black who rushed over was Hong Yu. He had changed into a black and calm attire for some reason today. He rushed to the bottom of the palace steps like lightning, walked up quickly, and soon stepped into the palace. He said in a loud voice, Your Highness, something serious has happened. Chu Qinghuang looked at him expressionlessly, the sky is falling. Hong Yu choked and said with a smile, the sky is not falling, but the backyard is about to catch fire. What's going on? Zhong Zhongjin and Chu Ling Chuan had a dispute and were about to start a fight. Chu Qinghuang was silent for a moment. If you can conceal your expression a little and don't show your excitement so obviously, I may believe your words. Well. Hong Yu touched his face, is it that obvious? Yeah indeed. Hong Yu coughed lightly, isn't this often the case in the palace? Those old ladies and eunuchs often shouted, the Empress is not good. The sky is falling and the ground is sinking outside, I thought. Since a lot of things have happened recently, I wanted to have a good time and see if His Highness would panic. Who knew that Your Highness could be so calm, and his expression remained unchanged despite the collapse of the mountain. It's really admirable. Chu Qinghuang's expression was subtle, are you full enough? Anyway, idle time is idle, Hong Yu said weakly, the Ling family has been raided, and there is no point in Ling Jing staying here. Mr. Chu wants to throw his body to the mountains to feed the wolves, and Mr. Shen wants to. He was castrated and sent to Ganquan Palace. I think both methods are feasible. I really don't know which one to help. What do you think, Your Highness? He thought it would be good to drag him to feed wolves, and it would also be good to send him to Ganquan Palace to serve concubine Duan after he was castrated. Seeing that concubine Duan loved his nephew so much, she must be happy to let Ling Jing serve her personally. It's just that the Chu family and the Shen family have different opinions at the moment, and he doesn't know who to turn to. You can go to whoever you want. Chu Qinghuang looked at him with an increasingly weird look, why do you still need to ask me about such a trivial matter? Hong Yu scratched his head, don't you need it? Chu Qinghuang's eyes fell on his clothes, are you planning to go out and become a thief in the middle of the night? No. Hong Yu took 2 steps closer and turned around in front of Chu Qinghuang, Your Highness, do you think I look good in this outfit? Do I look particularly calm and dignified? Chu Qinghuang said nothing. If your highness likes people wearing black clothes, I will not wear red clothes in the future, Kuryu declared seriously. I will also wear black. Your highness, can you pamper me more? Fu Kang suddenly clenched his hands and looked at him coldly. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 173. Wearing black to compete for favor? Chu Qing Huang was silent. She found that Hong Yu had a strong determination to win favor and was also very resilient. Among the young men in the backyard, he was the only one who jumped up and down happily. I don't know if it's because I'm too bored being trapped here, but I always have to find something to do. However, it was not until dinner time that Chu Qing Huang discovered that the person wearing black tonight was not only Hong Yu, but Chu Ling Chuan, Wen Zhan, Qi Ling, and Shen Kongjin had also put on black robes, making each of them look stunning. The figure is tall and thin, with extraordinary bearing. It was rare that they had made several black clothes in such a short period of time, and they were willing to go all out to compete for favor. The handsome young men at the table are no longer flamboyant peacocks. The calm and restrained tones instantly enhance the calm demeanor of the young men. As a result, the atmosphere became more subtle. Fu Kang remained silent the whole time, while the other young masters kept chattering, but fortunately they were all talking about business. The Ling family has no chance to turn over. Although concubine Duan and her son were not demoted like concubine Feng, losing the emperor's heart means losing the qualification to compete for the throne, Zhong Jin said in a steady voice. Next, in addition to holding the military power for a period of time, does your highness have any other plans? Chu Qing Huang lowered his head to eat and did not speak. Hong Yu held his chin. The Chu Queen's interrogation took too long and there were too many variables. I think Ling Anken should be shut up earlier. This sentence is obviously not said casually. Chu Ling Chuan looked at him. Ling Anken has a lot of secrets. Ah, Hong Yu blinked. I don't know. Chu Ling Chuan. This task has been handed over to Fu Kang, Chu Qing Huang said calmly. He won't survive until midnight tonight. Hong Yu curled his lips, glanced at Fu Kang calmly, and then his eyes lit up. So His Highness also thinks that he shouldn't be alive? Then His Highness and I are on the same page, right? We all thought of the same thing. Chu Qing Huang was speechless. The third prince has lost his power, and the fifth prince has also lost his favor. Next, it is time for the queen and her son to appear. Chu Ling Chuan's voice was gentle. The queen seems to be a smart woman. She has not made any moves for such a long time, which shows that she has good patience. She is the royal palace, and Chu Tianqiu is the noble legitimate son. After the Ling family's affairs, a minister will soon propose to the court to establish a crown prince, and make the second prince a legitimate crown prince, Qi Ling said in a calm tone. Third prince he and the fifth prince have been seriously injured. This is his opportunity. To use a suitable word, it is called the expected return. It would be really stupid for him to miss it. In the past, concubine Duan was favored, and the concubine was protected by the queen mother. Even if the queen was the main palace, she would not have much advantage. However, now that concubine Duan has been demoted to Zaiyi, concubine Duan has fallen out of favor, and the queen has lost two powerful rivals in an instant, and she is extremely happy. The ministers in the court who support the queen and her son are full of momentum and will never let go of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The ministers who support the third and fifth princes will never dare to speak out against it at this time. Therefore, the emperor will seriously consider appointing Chu Tianqiu as the crown prince. This is the quarrel between the snipe and the clam, and the fisherman wins. Chu Qing Huang hummed. What do you think? Of course we can't let Chu Tianqiu be the crown prince, Hong Yu pouted. Otherwise, wouldn't everything His Highness did just let him take advantage? Zhong Zongjin coughed lightly. I think Hongyu can come forward in this matter. Hongyu was stunned. Me. Chu Tianqiu is the most suitable candidate at the moment. If the emperor is enthusiastic, he might actually establish a crown prince in line with the public opinion. Zhong Jin said. Hongyu has been thinking about competing for favor recently, right? I guess you are the one here, Your Highness. There is no chance. Why not go to the queen to fight? Hongyu was shocked and couldn't believe what she heard. You mean, you want me to be the queen's face? Zhong Jin took a calm sip of the soup and said, it's just a beauty trap. You want me to die, right? Hongyu looked at him in disbelief. You are so vicious, you are so vicious. Zhong Jin, how can you be so vicious? You just want me to die, that's why you are so calculating. The words vicious were spoken 3 times in a row. I don't know whether it was due to a lack of vocabulary or a temporary lack of words due to extreme anger. Everyone could only hear the word vicious one after another. The tone was so strong that people felt that he had suffered a great grievance. Zhong Jin looked at him silently. At the queen's age, Hongyu took a bite of the chicken leg bitterly. I can't eat it. Everyone at the table. Chu Qinghuang turned to Qi Ling. Is everything going well in the military camp? It went well. Qi Ling nodded. Those clan members are also very obedient. Chu Qinghuang hummed and said casually, after dinner, you all will go with Qi Ling to inspect the military camp. There is no need to come back tonight. After the words fell, several people present fell silent in unison. After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 174. Chu Qinghuang and Fukang finally finished their dinner quietly. After the meal, Hongyu said hesitantly, Your Highness, the important place of the military camp will not allow us to enter with our status, right? Aren't you already prepared? Chu Qinghuang's eyes fell on him. The dress you are wearing tonight is just right for going to the military camp. Hongyu. The silver-armored army officers have never seen you. How do you know who you are? Chu Qinghuang drank tea with her eyes closed. Her voice was so light that she couldn't hear her emotions. You follow Qi Ling, and if anyone asks, just say being punished for offending me and being sent to the army is enough to shut everyone up. The 5 young masters who had failed in their fight for favor and were exiled to the army fell silent for a moment. Miscalculation. Complete miscalculation. However, His Highness had already spoken, and no matter how much they regretted it, it was too late and they could only follow Qi Ling to the military camp to kill time. The moonlight is nice tonight. Chu Qinghuang went out for a walk after dinner, and Fukang followed quietly. The two walked slowly along the winding corridor. They felt that the air was quiet, the moonlight was beautiful, and the wind blowing at night had a comfortable smell. Fukang, do you really don't want to take over the military? Fukang shook his head firmly, I don't want to. It is his duty to take charge of the Dark Pavilion and make everyone in the Dark Pavilion obey the orders of his master. He has no other ideas. Chu Qinghuang hummed and said nothing more. The two walked quietly for a while. You should have heard of Dongling. Chu Qinghuang's voice was calm, the most powerful country in the world. Fukang was silent for a moment, then nodded slowly, I understand. Dongling is the most powerful country in the mainland today. It has a strong military, a prosperous economy, and a vast territory. The kings of other countries became pale when they heard this. Although they have not yet annexed Western Qi, Northern Xinjiang, and Dazhu, the kings and ministers of these 3 countries did not stand in front of Dongling. People dare to be presumptuous. Before Dongling, the queen was in power and the regent assisted in the administration. Chu Qinghuang said lightly, but it is well known in the civil and military circles of the court that the regent dotes on his wife and is reluctant to leave her to work. He almost takes care of all the major affairs of the government. Fukang pursed his lips and remained silent, not answering. Her Majesty the Queen is an emperor who loves the people like a son, with a gentle and tolerant temperament, so the regent always governs the world with the common people in mind. There should be no country in the world where the people live a more stable and prosperous life than Dongling. Chu King Huang's lips raised slightly. His eyebrows softened unconsciously. The Dongling soldiers and horses are strong because the regent is good at fighting and manages the army strictly. The strength of the Dongling cavalry makes everyone in the world tremble with fear. Fu Kang lowered his eyebrows and said, Master will also become as powerful a person as the regent of Dongling in the future. Chu Qing Huang did not comment and said calmly, Queen Dongling and the regent have abdicated for more than 10 years. Fu Kang was silent for a moment and said, I know. What else do you know? Queen Dongling has 2 sons and 1 daughter. The eldest son ascended the throne and became the emperor. The second son holds the power of 400,000 troops. The 2 brothers have a good relationship. They trust each other and are each other's backing. Fu Kang whispered, in addition to being powerful in martial arts, the Dark Pavilion Shadow Guards also need to be in charge of intelligence, so they know a lot about the situation in various countries. Chu Qing Huang nodded slowly, yes. The Shadow Guards of the Dark Pavilion are well trained and perform their duties, protecting the master, assassinating, and obtaining intelligence. They are the emperor's most powerful eyes and ears. Have you ever heard of King Dongling Feather? Fu Kang nodded as expected, I've heard of it. The Yu Kingdom used to be a small country. After Dongling annexed South Vietnam, the Yu Kingdom, which was sandwiched between the 2 countries, took the initiative to submit. King Yu was still King Yu, but he was King Yu of Dongling. He sat on his own fiefdom and people and became a vassal king. I surrender to King Dongling. Chu King Huang's voice was calm, as if he was telling someone else's story. The new King Yu Zanruo is proficient in divination and fortune-telling. He can predict the unknown in advance. When the little Princess Dongling was born, he calculated the fate of the princess. There is a disaster. Fu Kang lowered his eyes, as if something was moving in his heart, but he didn't dare to think deeply about it. King Yu is proficient in the art of divination and can predict the future in advance. This is not a secret. Almost all the dignitaries in the world know something about it, but few people know about the little Princess Dongling. In addition to its strong military strength, Dongling also has strong other forces. The ubiquitous intelligence network is enough to make anyone who wants to find out Dongling's intelligence come back in vain. And because there was a big age difference between Princess Dongling and the 2 royal brothers, after the new emperor ascended the throne, the regent who abdicated left the palace with his wife and daughter and started traveling around. Since then, news about them has been lost. After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 175. Chu Qing Huang said nothing and walked quietly. Half an hour later, she returned to the palace to take a shower and change clothes. The fragrant flower petal bath washed away the complexities of a busy day. When she put on a pair of snow-white pajamas and leaned against the bedside, her body and mind were finally able to completely relax. Fu Kang Chu Qing Huang watched him get on the bed and knelt down beside him. Princess Dongling is 17 years old as you. Fu Kang looked at her silently, with a gentle and respectful attitude. Even though he had vague suspicions in his heart, he did not speak without permission. King Yu once predicted that she would not live for more than 20 years and would die from a love disaster. Chu Qing Huang said with a calm expression, in fact, King Yu's predictions were correct, but love disasters and things like that don't seem to be reliable. Because she died before she liked anyone. Dead. Fu Kang was secretly shocked, and then he thought of something. He slowly calmed down, and his clenched hands hanging by his side slowly loosened. Have you guessed anything after listening to what I said? Chu Qing Huang looked at him with an indifferent expression as usual, but his words were shocking. Dongling is my country. The current emperor Dongling is my emperor. Brother, the abdicated queen and the prince regent are my biological parents, and all my close relatives are entangling. Kang pursed his lips, his eyes fell on her face, and he didn't know how to react. "What's on your mind?" Kang was silent for a moment, lowered his head and said, "My subordinate is the shadow guard of the Ziki royal family." Master told this subordinate, "Are you not afraid that he will leak the secret? Will you?" Kang pursed his lips, because he had been trained since he was young to have no thoughts of his own. After being assigned to a certain master, he had to obey orders unconditionally throughout his life and die for his master. Few shadow guards would harbor a desire for betrayal. But Kang knew at this time that he was unqualified as a shadow guard, because he seemed to have his own thoughts and selfish motives. Although he knew that this master was no longer the former princess, he did not have any objection at all, and even hoped that it will always be like this. "I hope the former princess will never come back. My subordinates will not," Kang said in a low voice, extremely docile. "I will never leak secrets." Chu Qinghuang smiled lightly, "It doesn't matter even if the secret is leaked, I don't care. Now that she has become Chu Qinghuang, she should do something with Chu Qinghuang's identity. Fighting for this throne is just to pass the time. If she really wants the Ziki kingdom, she can get it without having to do anything herself." Kang emphasized, "I don't know how to do it." "Well, I know you won't." Chu Qinghuang raised her hand and pinched his face, "so you should understand what I mean. If that tyrannical and capricious princess comes back one day in the future, you must protect yourself and never do it again. Suffer her torture in silence, do you hear me? With Kang's skills, no one can bully him as long as he is unwilling to endure it." Kang nodded, "Yes." "Go to sleep." "Yes." Kang lay down beside her, covered her with a small blanket, and closed her eyes. But he couldn't sleep, and he felt all kinds of uneasiness in his heart for no reason. Kang thought for a while that if after waking up, everything that happened these days was just a dream, and the previous princess suddenly came back, what should he do? Kill her? No. Leaving the princess mansion? But where can he go? For a while, he imagined the scene of his master galloping on horseback, clearing obstacles, and ascending to the throne of the ninth five-year supreme. Thousands of subjects prostrate at their feet, shouting long live. However, the original princess suddenly woke up, and everything the master had done was nothing. Became hers. Chu Qinghuang tilted her head and silently listened to the rich psychological activities of the little shadow guard. Although she was mostly worried, wasn't what she just said clear enough? "Kang, don't worry." Chu Qinghuang's voice was calm, "just let everything take its course. Everything I am doing now is basically to eliminate the long-standing abuses in the Ziki court. No matter who will take over the throne of Ziki in the future, we must be responsible for the people of the world. The emperor's sage lies in appointing wise officials. Officials are good officials who can make decisions for the people, so those aristocratic families who are bound by their own interests must be eliminated." Kang opened his eyes and looked at Chu Qinghuang quietly, "I understand." Chu Qinghuang pinched his face, "Of course, in the end, the throne will definitely belong to me. Don't worry about this. No one can take away the fruits of my victory." Kang's eyes instantly softened, "Yes. The country of Ziki must be in the master's possession, and no one can replace it." Window. Tabula equals window. Tabula. Tabula.push, mode, thumbspeed -01, container, tabula below article thumbnail -300x250, placement, below article thumbnail -300x250, target. Type, mix. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 176. Recently, it has been a turbulent time, with major events happening almost every day. Just this morning, at dawn, a message came from the prison that General Ling committed suicide out of fear of punishment. This news instantly caused a sensation in the court and the public. Committing suicide out of fear of punishment? General Ling has a great reputation and is a man of integrity, so why did he commit suicide out of fear of punishment? An iron-willed man? More than 200,000 taels of gold and 1.5 million taels of silver were seized from the Ling family's secret vault. General Ling is indeed a man of integrity. The minister who defended General Ling choked for a moment and said stubbornly, "General Ling has embezzled and accepted bribes, and the evidence is conclusive. I have no intention of exonerating him. It's just that General Ling has been in charge of military power for so many years, and he should still have the backbone of a military general. He won't commit suicide in the prison. I also think this matter is suspicious. There must be something fishy going on. A secret that can be told to others." Censor Ding said in a sonorous and powerful tone, bowing, "I request the Emperor to order a thorough investigation of this matter." Prime Minister Feng said, "Your Majesty, I heard that Prince Yi of Rong Wangfu was stopped by General Ling when he was escorting the Ling family to the Tianlao. The two whispered some secrets, and then General Ling committed suicide in the Tianlao. I think this matter is extremely suspicious." This sentence can be said to be sinister. Prince Rong's face changed, and he turned his head and glared at him. "Isn't what you said by Prime Minister too much? Xian Yi is a member of the Imperial Guards. Commander, the criminals are being escorted by the Emperor's order. What does Ling Ancan want to say? Can Xian Yi stop him? How come the Prime Minister has turned public affairs into a crime of ill-intentioned behavior? Why is your Highness so nervous?" Feng Xiang argued slowly. "I mean that Ling Ancan's cause of death is suspicious, and the key is to find out the truth. As for what he said to Prince Yi, and whether Prince Yi has ill-intentioned behavior, the Emperor can summon Prince Yi to ask him face to face, and we'll know." Prince Rong snorted coldly. "What does the Prime Minister mean by this? You know it in your heart. Clear. Ling Ancan has done something dishonest, and he deserves this fate. Prime Minister Feng wants to beat the fallen dog, and I know it very well, but don't drag Prince Rong's mansion into the water. I won't interfere in your affairs." Prince Feng was about to refute, but Prince Rong said coldly, "In my opinion, Prime Minister Feng should be more obedient recently, otherwise one day the princess will seize the embezzled income from the mansion, and I am afraid that the person who will be beaten will be you, Prime Minister, so please take care of yourself." After the voice fell, Prime Minister Feng's expression instantly turned pale, and his face became extremely ugly. The Emperor sat on the dragon throne without saying a word, with a solemn and deep expression, just listening to the court officials' arguments calmly. He was in a good mood today, so he would naturally be more patient with the court officials, and even had the mood to think, who else among these ministers in the court could help him add bricks and tiles to the treasury. Thinking of the number of taels reported by the Imperial Guards after they counted all the property of the Ling family last night, he was shocked. 200,000 gold, converted into silver, is about 2 million taels. There are also more than 1.5 million taels of silver. Ling Ancan, a military commander, is quite practical. He has no interest in antiques and paintings. In addition to keeping a few valuable weapons in his hands, he ordered people to pick out some valuable antiques and paintings and jewelry sent by officials and give them to concubine Duan. The rest were converted into gold or silver. In this way, it is naturally more convenient to count and convert. For the current national treasury, antiques, paintings, calligraphy and jewelry are far less practical than gold and silver. The emperor was in an indescribable mood at this time, but as a calm and majestic emperor, he certainly could not show his happiness in front of the ministers. Instead, he had to try his best to conceal it and reveal an unfathomable attitude. As for why Ling Ancan committed suicide in the prison last night, Stop arguing, His Majesty. The Emperor finally spoke, his tone cold and angry. I will have someone investigate this matter. If there is really something strange about Ling Anquan's death, I will never tolerate it. As he spoke, he swept his cold eyes over the civil and military officials in the court, but I am really too shocked and disappointed. I can't believe it. The treasury is empty, the national strength is weak, and Ziki is now in a difficult time. I thought that the ministers would help me overcome the difficulties, but until today, I realized that my idea was a joke. The civil and military officials in the court all changed color. I believe in all my beloved ministers and use all my beloved ministers, but I didn't expect that all the adults in the court have bulging pockets and rich houses. Everyone is richer than me. You are really good, the emperor sneered. Hong Qingjai's family seized 800,000 taels of silver. I was shocked enough. I didn't expect the Ling family to exceed the shocking amount. It was simply dumbfounded. The hall was dead silent. All the civil and military officials knelt down. We are guilty. Can you guess how much silver the Ling family has seized? The emperor sneered. If it is all converted into silver, it is a full 3.5 million taels. What kind of number is this? It is true that you don't know until you check it, and you will be shocked when you check it. The ministers knelt on the ground and kowtowed continuously. We are guilty. You are indeed guilty, the emperor said coldly. Imperial censor Ding. Imperial censor Shen. I am here. Don't you like to impeach the princess? Come and explain to me today, why did the Ling family embezzle so much silver, but you didn't notice it at all? The emperor questioned. As the supervisory censor, is this how you supervise all officials? Give me an explanation. Imperial censor Ding felt cold all over. I am incapable of supervision and deserve death. Please forgive me, Your Majesty. Forgive me, the emperor said coldly. Since you know you have failed in your duty, you still dare to ask me for forgiveness? From today on, Ding Shitang will be stripped of his position as the imperial censor, fined for 1 year, and confined to reflect on himself for 3 months. Court is dismissed. The ministers knelt and shouted, Farewell, Your Majesty. Long live the emperor. After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 177. Amidst the cheers of the emperor, His Majesty left the court and returned to the Yugan Palace. He saw a familiar figure kneeling in the palace from afar. His Majesty's expression paused. After raising his hand to signal the guards to stop, he sat quietly on the dragon chariot and looked at the figure. After a long time, he stood up and walked down from the dragon chariot. With a complex and subtle mood, he walked into the palace and slowly approached the person kneeling on the ground. With a shadow covering her head, concubine Duan raised her head and saw the king standing in front of her. She was obviously a concubine who was favored not long ago. She was gentle, luxurious, bright, and beautiful, and had a deep friendship with the king. In just a few days, the world turned upside down and ended up in such a situation. At the same time, the emperor also saw her face clearly. Her eyes were red and swollen, her face was pale and haggard, and her eyes had lost the gentle color of the past, leaving only endless desolation and sadness. In just 2 days, the once favored concubine Duan seemed to have aged by a dozen years. The emperor sighed in his heart. Your Majesty, concubine Duan spoke softly, her voice trembling slightly, and her eyes filled with tears implied a plea, I deserve to die. The emperor's mood at this time was extremely complicated, and he didn't know what to say for a while. Heartbroken? Maybe a little. After all, the Ling family did a great job in protecting the emperor more than 20 years ago. Over the years, concubine Duan has been flawless, gentle, and considerate, which makes people relax unconsciously. He actually likes her very much. But when he thought of the Ling family's unscrupulous and unrestrained arrogance over the years, even the eldest princess, who was arrogant, he suddenly felt that he had done his best. No emperor of any generation could tolerate such a rebellious minister, not to mention that Ling Ankan embezzled so much silver from him, which was simply unforgivable. When the treasury was short of money, he didn't even dare to celebrate his birthday in order to save money, but Ling Ankan dared to use the military pay to embezzle, forge account books, and put the money from the treasury into his own pocket in various ways. But is he angry? Seeing the woman who had served him for more than 20 years, the emperor could not bear to punish her any more. He just said calmly, "The matter of the Ling family ends here. I will not pursue it further, nor will I let it implicate you and Tianzheng. Don't think too much. Go back." After the words fell, concubine Duan was shocked, and despair instantly appeared on her face. "Without my natal family, even if the emperor forgives me, how can I live in the future? So you want me to show leniency and let the Ling family go?" The emperor looked at her expressionlessly, and every word was soaked with cold anger. "The crimes committed by the Ling family are unforgivable. How can you ask me to forgive them? If I forgive them, how can I convince the people in the future? Do you treat the laws of the country as decoration?" Concubine Duan shook her body and cried silently. Duan Fei, the emperor, put his hands behind his back, with a hint of disappointment in his eyes. "You have treated Tianzheng like a treasure over the years. You are afraid that he will melt if you hold him in your mouth, and you are afraid that he will fall if you hold him in your hands. You are a responsible mother. You are devoted to the Ling family and give all the benefits to the Ling family. As a daughter and a sister, you have done them with a clear conscience. Although I don't often mention your two nephews, their behavior is really not commendable. With the family tradition of the Ling family, they are destined to not last long. Even if I don't kill them today, they will still be doomed in the future." After a pause, his voice became deep. "Qing Huang is also your daughter, but you know how you have treated her over the years, and I know it very well. If you are so partial, Duan Fei, you should reflect on yourself." Duan Fei's face was as pale as paper, and she knelt on the ground in a daze, as if she had lost her soul. "Come here," the emperor ordered, turning around and walking towards the Yugan palace. "Send concubine Duan back." "As ordered." "Your Majesty." Concubine Duan suddenly raised her head and cried out in a shrill voice, "Ling Yan and Ling Jing are not married yet, and the Ling family has no offspring. I don't know whether Ling Jing is dead or alive now. I only ask your Majesty, please let Ling Yan leave a descendant, and also leave a memory for me, okay? Your Majesty. Please, your Majesty, be merciful." The emperor paused and said calmly, "Let this child be born without a father or a mother. Or let him live in hatred as soon as he is born, and seek revenge on me when he grows up." Concubine Duan shook her head. "I will never dash. There has never been such a rule since ancient times." The emperor rejected her unrealistic request. "Go back." After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 178. Chu Qinghuang was only responsible for expanding the territory. After the swift and vigorous house raid, Chu Xuanyi led people to do the aftermath work, while she stayed in the mansion to enjoy a few days of leisure. She ignored all the speculations, uneasiness, panic, despair, even resentment and curses caused by the house raid, because no one dared to tell her anyway. In the morning, she slept until she woke up naturally, changed her clothes and washed up, and went out to stretch her muscles. Sometimes she would exchange martial arts with Fu Kang. If we put aside the mentality of being serious, Fu Kang would not really use all his strength when competing with her. The two of them simply exchanged martial arts, and even Chu Qinghuang did not go all out. Martial arts need to be practiced frequently, especially for those in high positions who have others to serve them. If you don't practice frequently, your condition will inevitably decline. After that, she had breakfast with Fu Kang. These days, Fu Kang has become accustomed to many things and a normal diet and rest routine. Under Chu Qinghuang's care, his complexion has improved significantly. Fu Kang took off his black tights and put on a black brocade robe. He looked calm and cold, with a bit of the demeanor of a superior. At first glance, almost no one would associate him with the dark pavilion shadow guard. More and more stylish, Chu Qinghuang looked at Fu Kang's dress, then looked at his handsome face, and raised the corner of his lips slightly. Not bad. Fu Kang pursed his lips, and couldn't help feeling a little embarrassed, but a corner of his heart quietly softened. For a shadow guard who is so strong that he can't break anything, this kind of softness is a deadly weapon, and it will kill you if you touch it. But he couldn't help sinking. Knowing that it is a deadly weapon, he didn't want to resist, but kept greedy for more, and his greed grew bigger and bigger, so that the desirelessness that he had trained day and night for more than 10 years became nothing in just a few days, and even his strong will seemed to be destroyed. Gentleness is the cruelest poison in the world, which will corrode people's hearts little by little. Recently, those people seem to have behaved well in the military camp. Chu Qinghuang thought, it was beyond my expectation that they didn't make a scene in the military camp. Fu Kang was silent for a moment, and said, Qi Ling's military management is tough, they dare not make a scene. Chu Qinghuang raised his eyebrows, should we go and see? Fu Kang pursed his lips, subordinates listen to the master's arrangements. It is his duty to be respectful and obedient, but he doesn't want to go privately. These few days, several young masters in the backyard stayed in the military camp. With fewer people making trouble in front of him, Fu Kang could spend a few days alone with Chu Qinghuang. In addition to the quiet airs, even the air seemed to have become much fresher. He didn't want to see those people at all. Well, if you don't want to go, don't go. Chu Qinghuang sighed, thinking that it was not a good thing for him to indulge the shadow guard more and more, but he was right. It was rare to have a few days of quiet days, and there was really no need to listen to the chirping of those sparrows. However, not going to the military camp does not mean that you don't know the situation in the military camp. When those people first went there, the soldiers in the military camp did not know their identities. They just thought that these young men who offended the princess and were exiled were all handsome and unparalleled. Did the princess anger her because of their outstanding appearance? It has to be said that the soldiers in the military camp also had a lot of imagination. Later, after vaguely knowing their identities, the generals had a dispute and angrily thought that the princess was too willful. The military camp was not the backyard of the princess's mansion. How could they let these glamorous servants who served people with their beauty make trouble here? However, the military camp has always spoken with ability. Qi Ling neither defended nor oppressed people with power. He just arranged dozens of generals of different levels to take turns to challenge. The weapons on the parade ground could be selected at will, and the 5 servants also came at any time. After half a day, the defeated generals shut up obediently, and couldn't help muttering at lunch, it turns out that the princess selects her servants not only for appearance. The princess's backyard is really full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. These people should be of great background. Do they have any hidden identities? General Qi is the bastard of Zhenbei Palace. Zhenbei Palace is far away from the imperial capital, so it is normal that we don't know him, but the bastards of Wen and Shen are from official families. I have never heard of these 2 people hiding their identities before. However, discussions and mutterings are all discussions, and the military power of the Silver Armor Army is now in the hands of the princess. The former commander Ling Anken and his family were imprisoned, and he committed suicide in the Sky Prison. The left and right generals of the Silver Armor Army were all shot dead by the princess. The continuous deterrence was enough to make these generals absolutely afraid of the princess. After discussing quietly, they automatically eliminated all doubts and dared not speculate too much. So after a brief disturbance, the military camp quickly calmed down and continued to conduct routine exercises. Chu Qinghuang and Fu Kang would play a game of chess after breakfast. Even if the rotten wood could not be carved, Chu Qinghuang was occasionally willing to sacrifice her life to accompany the rotten wood. But every time at this time, the rattan in her hand could not help but want to play its due role. She even said, "My father used the rattan to teach the world's #1 minister and the #1 general. I don't expect to teach the shadow guard who is the #1 in chess, but I should be able to open your mind." After listening to the rotten wood sitting opposite, he couldn't help but show shame and willingly stretched out his hands to accept the family law. After lunch, Chu Qinghuang liked to sit in front of the window to drink tea and enjoy a moment of quietness. Recently, the weather has been getting hotter and hotter. The sun outside is so bright that it makes people uncomfortable. She doesn't want to go out, and occasionally takes a nap for half an hour. At this time, Fu Kang stays alone in front of the chessboard to study the chess moves, thinking that he can make a little progress every day, get rid of the title of rotten wood as soon as possible, and make the master more satisfied with him. Leisurely and comfortable time always passes quickly. Unknowingly, several days have passed. Time has entered the hot summer of June, and the Queen Mother's birthday has arrived. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 179. Changchun Palace. The Queen Mother's birthday is coming. What does the Emperor plan to do this year? The Queen sat on one side, maintaining a noble and humble attitude. In previous years, due to the empty treasury, there has been no grand celebration for many years. Shouldn't the Emperor show his filial piety this year? This sentence sounds normal, but the Queen Mother who commands the central palace is not an ordinary person. The seemingly casual question also hides her own little thoughts. His Majesty the Emperor, leaning on the long brocade couch, frowned, and his voice was a little distant. There are too many things going on recently, so it's not suitable to hold a big palace banquet. The Queen frowned. What if the Queen Mother is dissatisfied? There's nothing to be dissatisfied about. The national treasury is not rich at the moment, and there will be many places to spend money in the future. The money seized from the Hong and Ling families is just a drop in the bucket for the country, the Emperor said in a light tone. As a king, I should take the lead in saving expenses and put an end to extravagance and waste. You should also pay attention to the concubines in the harem in the future. Wear clothes that can be worn, don't always make new ones every few days, and put an end to waste in food, don't pay attention to it. What a grand show! When the common people outside the palace were suffering from hunger and cold, they had no old clothes to wear and it was common for them to go hungry. The Queen responded respectfully, I will pay attention to it. The Emperor rubbed his eyebrows and sighed deeply. When the Queen Mother's birthday comes, you can arrange for the concubines and princesses in the harem to come and celebrate the Queen Mother's birthday. The princes who are married can bring their princesses, and those who are not married can come by themselves. How nice it will be for the family to sit together and have a lively meal. My mother should understand my painstaking efforts. Recently, there have been a series of incidents, and the king of Zhenbei will soon arrive in the imperial capital again. He really has no mood to hold a luxurious palace banquet. Empress, the Emperor turned his head and looked at her. You are the master of the harem, so you should take on the management responsibilities of the harem. I am busy with government affairs on weekdays, so you should take care of the affairs in the harem. Recently, concubine Gui and concubine Duan have been in trouble one after another, so you don't have to worry too much. I am not a person who gets angry for no reason. The Queen stood up and knelt. I am terrified. You and Tiankuo are both good, the Emperor said lightly. Tiankuo should perform well recently. Any feasible ideas in government affairs can be raised at the court meeting. Don't always be so low-key. The Queen's heart moved. but her face did not show any expression. The emperor is right, Tiankuo is too unmotivated. I often remind him that he should share the worries and work for his father and the emperor, but this child always says that his knowledge and ability are not enough now and he needs to improve himself. I am helpless. The emperor smiled faintly. I know his weight. There is no need to be so cautious. I am not a man-eating tiger. Yes. You should take a rest thinking of the king of Zhenbei. The emperor stood up impatiently. I still have some things to deal with, so I won't accompany you. You should pay more attention to the Queen Mother's birthday. Even if it is a family banquet, don't be too shabby. The Queen responded respectfully without refutation. Even though she knew that the Emperor wanted her to be the bad guy in front of the Queen Mother, she would not say anything. The situation was becoming clearer and clearer. Tiankuo was the most suitable candidate for the crown prince. The emperor's words just now mentioned Tiankuo intentionally or unintentionally. As long as this period of time passed, Tiankuo would find an opportunity to make some achievements. By then, it would be a natural thing for the ministers of the Qin family to propose the establishment of a crown prince in the court, and the position of the crown prince would naturally fall on Tiankuo. Compared with the position of the crown prince, nothing else was important. Not to mention asking her to be the bad guy in front of the Queen Mother. Even if she was asked to be the bad guy in front of the whole world, the Queen would not be unwilling. The Emperor got up and left. After leaving Changchun Palace, he ordered calmly, "Send someone to pass the imperial edict, ordering the Prince of Jin to come to the palace to see the Emperor." Chen Hai did not remind the Emperor that the third prince was now the Prince of Jin, and bowed his head respectfully and replied, "Yes." The Emperor thought for a moment, "Call Qing Huang here too, I want to hear her thoughts on some things." "I'll go right away." The Emperor then returned to Yugan Palace. The oral edict was passed to the Prince of Jin's mansion and the Princess mansion one after another, and Chu Qing Huang raised her eyebrows slightly. "Let me enter the palace." Yes, the guard who passed the edict was respectful, and took the initiative to speak without waiting for the princess to ask. The emperor also called the Prince of Jin to the palace. Chu Qing Huang understood instantly. It seemed to be for the matter of the Prince of Zhenbei. "I know, I'll go there soon." Chu Qing Huang waved her hand to send away the messenger, and her eyes fell on Fu Kang. "Where is the king of Zhenbei?" "Beicheng," Fu Kang said, "it will take at most 3 days to reach the imperial capital." "How many people did he bring?" 3,000 elite soldiers. Chu Qing Huang was silent for a moment, and sneered, "He is quite smart." After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 180. Enemies are extremely jealous when they meet. Chu Tianyan and Chu Qing Huang met at the palace gate. They both entered the palace in carriages. They arrived outside the palace gate almost one after the other. They got off the carriage and met head-on. Sparks flew and cold light shone. At that moment, if conditions allowed, Chu Tianyan almost wanted to rush up and slap her twice. But he knew very well that if he really dared to attack Chu Qing Huang today, not to mention whether he could get an advantage from her, he would definitely not be able to pass the test of his father. Maybe the freedom you just gained will be lost in an instant. So he could only endure it, even if it required great self-control, he had to endure it. In contrast, Chu Qinghuang's expression was obviously much calmer, his eyebrows were as indifferent as usual, and even his voice was as calm as ever. "Brother, 3 emperors seems to want to take action against me." As soon as he finished speaking, Fu Kang's expression suddenly turned cold, and a murderous aura spread across the air. Chu Tianyan was shocked, and then sneered, "What did Kame say? If you want to accuse me, why bother?" Chu Qing Huang didn't say anything, and just glanced at him calmly. She hadn't seen this unlucky thing for a few days. It was a rare meeting, so it was normal for Chu Tianyan to be unable to suppress her emotions. After all, the Hong family fell into her hands, and the current situation of concubine Feng and her daughter was thanks to Chu Qinghuang. It would be strange if he didn't hate it. During the days when Chu Tianyan was recovering from his injuries, he even thought about it every day and every night. He was probably the one who had secretly done something to kill his princess. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that this conclusion was correct. As a result, the hatred in my heart became stronger and stronger, and I would curse her severely before going to bed almost every night. Today was the first time he met Chu Qinghuang after he was ordered to shut up and think about his past. Old and new hatreds came to his mind, and it was normal for his emotions to fluctuate too much. Ever since he killed his own princess and was beaten 30 times on the spot, Chu Tianyan has been staying in the mansion to recuperate and think about his mistakes behind closed doors. He can't go anywhere, so that with so many things happening outside, he can only listen to others. Report after report, I couldn't help but curse a few times when I heard the anger, and I couldn't help but add insult to injury when I heard the anger was vented. But no matter what, the most difficult period was over. Even though his mother-in-law had been demoted to Zaiyi and he had been demoted to county prince, the ban was finally lifted and he was free again. The defeat was only temporary, and he believed that he would turn around sooner or later. Looking at the culprit in front of him, Chu Tianyan's eyes were cold. Seventh Emperor's sister has been really prosperous recently. I heard that you have turned the entire imperial city upside down. The entire imperial city, Chu Qinghuang raised an eyebrow. In your opinion, one Hong family and one Ling family can represent the entire imperial city. Chu Tianyan choked, not expecting her to be so picky about her words, and said coldly, "You only copied the Hong family and the Ling family, but you made the whole court civil and military people panic. Isn't it right for me to talk about the entire imperial city? If there are no ghosts in my heart, I won't be afraid of the king of hell knocking on the door in the middle of the night." Chu Qinghuang said calmly, "If there are ghosts, I will naturally dig out all these ghosts." Chu Tianyan's face suddenly darkened. King Zhenbei has arrived. Brother, 3 emperors should be nervous, Chu Qinghuang said calmly, turned and walked towards the palace gate. Have you thought of any countermeasures? Being beaten and thinking about one's mistakes after killing Princess Jin were trivial matters. How to face King Zhenbei was the most important thing. Chu Tianyan said coldly, "If 7th sister doesn't worry about this matter, I already have a countermeasure." The two of them walked through the palace gate, one on the left and the other on the right. Chu Qinghuang was only followed by Fukang, while Chu Tianyan was followed by 8 guards. However, their momentum was not at all due to the large number of people. Chu Tianyan said coldly as he walked, 7th sister really lives up to the name of the cold-blooded evil god. She even doesn't spare her mother's family. She is ruthless and unjust. She is so cold-blooded and she doesn't know what the meaning of life is. What is the meaning of living? Chu Qinghuang said calmly, "You are really asking the right person. The greatest meaning of my life is to trample all the people I dislike into the mud so that they will never be able to stand up." Chu Tianyan was so angry that his face was livid and his breathing was rapid. That's right, Chu Qinghuang seemed to have just remembered, now I am the eldest princess, and my title seems to be higher than that of you, the county king. When you see me in the future, remember to salute according to the rules. Chu Tianyan's expression completely froze, and he was so angry that he could no longer say a word. Salute according to the rules? On the way to Yuqian Palace, Chu Tianyan thought gloomily that when he ascended the throne, the first person he wanted to kill would be Chu Qinghuang, and before killing her, he would definitely cripple her hands and feet. Let her crawl on the ground in embarrassment, and kneel for him for 3 days and 3 nights, and then directly let her be beaten to death with a cane. They must be beaten to death alive. He wanted to see her wail in pain under the sticks, unable to survive or die. Chu Qinghuang just walked all the way, leisurely listening to someone's fantasies in her heart. She didn't know whether she was deceiving herself and others in search of inner satisfaction, or whether she was really stupid enough to think that she still had a chance to turn around. Ascend to the throne of God. Tisk. I have already said that there is only one dragon chair, and everyone wants to grab it. I really can't see how much I weigh. $window. Tabula equals window. Tabula. Tabula.push, mode, thumbs feed -01, container, tabula below article thumbnail -300x250, placement, below article thumbnail -300x250, target. Type, mix.